Hi. Welcome. So today I don't come to you as Jerry the tarot reader. Today I come to you as Jerry the artist, musician, bass player, who also happens to read tarot. We're going to talk artist and musician today. So those of you that understand that language will get it, and I'm glad you're here. Let's do the count off. Roll right in. Okay? A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a reading for February 2021. The focus is the energies surrounding your creative endeavors. Of course, if love is in there and showing its face and wanting some attention, sure, we'll mention it. Business, sure, we'll mention it. But the point of this is the place where we go for our inspiration, the place where we go for our groundedness, our communication with each other and with the world as creative souls, as artists, as musicians. Okay. Let's talk about the bottom of the deck. See what's going on down there. 10 of Cups. Okay, well, we're going to do a standard Celtic cross layout here, and we'll get back to this. Let's see how everything else embraces it or does not. Okay, well, it looks right out of the gate like, for those of you that this is resonating with, you are anticipating something that wants to be expressed that has you somewhat tied knots, or at least it has been. There's been this internal, perhaps, struggle. You've got the inspiration to move on it, but it looks like there's a little something in the way. But I mean, overall right now, what I'm seeing is that you're going to be fine. And there's a lot of success here, but it's a matter of, I mean, you know as well as I do that when you're sitting down, you're going to compose a piece of music, you're going to write a part for a new song, you're going to paint a new painting, or you're going to do some new print making, or whatever. That what happens is you go into someplace or something comes to you through your muse, and then you have to turn it into a humanly understandable statement of some sort, right? So the way you do that, the way you get it from the cosmos onto planet Earth matters, right? If we're using the wrong medium and for our creative energy, sure, it can work, but perhaps that's not going to be in your also own inner guardian at the gate, where you discern quality, and you separate out the elements of what you're going to accept and what you're not going to accept. That something sideways about when you want to apply the wrong medium to the inspiration you received. Right? Okay. So with the moon here being the beginning, I'm going to say that is in your spiritual quest, in your spiritual evolution. You're at a point where you're pretty refined. You're pretty good at what you do. Now, there's just a few minor T's to cross, I's to dot, and that's stuff that is not visible. That's stuff that's going to require this almost like this dimensional warp that exists somewhere within your being. That is that gelatinous veil that exists between the internal world and the external world. And what do I mean by that? Well, the moon represents that internal journey, that going on the little sidebar on your total journey that takes you into realms where perhaps you haven't been, or if you have been there, you haven't seen everything that's there being offered for you to gain, for you to pull from, draw from. And I like it because it takes you into a dimension where you've got that safety and security feeling of being your own entire universe for just a moment. Of course, we want to be interacting with others and be part of a collective. But there are these times, as every artist and creative spirit that I know, myself included, that has to go occasionally to those spaces where you're all there is in the space, right? And so this journey in February starts with that. But it looks like the bar is being set high. Your bar is being set high, and actually you're banking on your ability, your expertise, your skill, your good, that your ability to bring your game. So world class sounds like a reasonable thing here. You know, let's go back to what the bottom of the deck had going, which is the Ten of Cups. So if there's been a completion of some emotional transformation or transcendent moment in your life, you feel like you got to the edge of the threshold, you walked in, and now you're in that new space that is prompted by the completion here, that whatever it was has now become part of your fabric and part of your foundation. So why not make that a part as you tie into this quest, which is clearly heading for higher realms? And it looks to me like with the Ace of Wands, you've already begun the process. You've already taken a first step, and that's good. The first step is the hardest step to take, and that you've shot out some kind of arrow of desire, and that you're probably marching over to see where it landed, if you will. That's very cool. And then, so this weaving that's going on, for you artists and musicians. This weaving that's going on is that sewing together in a very, very specific manner the different components of your process. I mean, everyone that's a creative spirit that I know and that I've observed knows that it's a process. And so as you march along, the way you outplay, the way you outsource, like you're outsourcing your internal world into the external world. And the way you outsource yourself from inside to outside makes a difference. And so perhaps you're already engaged in the activity a bit where you've kicked things off in your inspiration, in your intuition, or perhaps your intuition came in and said, whoa, that's a new idea that I want to explore where I've never been with my craft/art. So I'm saying this. When you take this concept of what you're doing forward, the first step is to hit the high road, keep the bar high. Keep the bar high in the unfolding, in the manifestation. Does that make sense? So that you can follow your muse, you can follow your inspiration, and it will take you wherever, and it's kind of ambivalent, if in a way. But what I'm saying to you is that this card is saying, keep the reins tight on your horses as you proceed forward. And why you do that is because you want to keep the bar high. You want to keep it up at that level of knowing who you are and then bringing who you are to earth. So what is supporting you in this effort with the Five of Pentacles is a trial. You've been through trials and initiations before that took you to this same place you want to go now. Even though every new aha in terms of your creative spirit is its own personality and its own distinct aha. So what you got is you've got your track record with yourself. You know where you've been, and you know that sometimes sitting tight and seeing it through, going through that time where in a beginner's is someone who's a beginner in an art or a craft or a creative endeavor. Someone who's a beginner might get all flustered close to the beginning of the charge, and they end up shooting themselves in the foot. And you don't have to do that because you know better. But the cards are saying, remind yourself that you know better, because that supports your overall effort. It's not great shakes in bombastic, expansive, blossomings of energy or anything, but it is super significant, right? And coupled with that, to help you to refine that part of yourself, because every time you create something, you advance. It can't really happen when it comes from your creative spirit without the internal evolution happening also. That's what this is all about. And in March is something that might be a moment coming your way to try out your wings a bit, because it's a matter, especially when you see this right next to this, when you see this right next to this, you know that there's some invisible stuff going on. And this for me, I mean, I remember the first time I saw this card, and I was kind of scared, but it's become one of my favorite cards because it's so full of hope and possibilities for the next step forward. It's in the perfect place for that because it's coming here in this reading at the place where your next step is based upon some kind of a challenge or a circumstance that comes your way, where all it does is allow you to refine your effort. It doesn't take you away from your effort. Rather, it refines it. Just be ready to let death have its way, in a way. Let the reaper reap, because the reaper knows more than our conscious earthbound mind what needs to be reaped. And it's still your choice. You don't have to let the reaper cut off somebody's head that's in your life that you want out of your life, or you think you do, or you have been given to believe that you do. But rather, you can choose it, or you can choose not to do it. Just be aware the reaper's a potential coming your way. So I'm fascinated to see that you are already this. This is poetic. This, which is what you're already involved with, is in your head, which is a good place for it, and in your being, in terms of, you know, that it's new territory. You know that your curiosity factor and your spirit of adventure factor is being tweaked by this, and rightly so, because it's new territory. It's really, really a good momentum that's being displayed or illuminated by these cards. So, in terms of the timing for this, when is it going to happen? I would say when it's going to happen is when you get a sense that you are becoming a different person. Because when your personal wheel of fortune turns, you're evolving, and you are the observer in your evolution. Therefore, when you clear the eyes, see clearly, perceive clearly, and see that you're moving forward, that's when you're very, very much on track, and it's time to perhaps bear down a little bit on that moment to carry it forward. Yes? Then, once again, I find this interesting that you have another 5 in this position, which is the position of the overall outcome. So it looks like this, I mean, it'll probably give you a relief factor, relieve the pressure on yourself a little bit, because you can take it lightly. You can take this lightly. It can seem, I mean, you and I both know, right? Our creative endeavors and our paintings, our drawings, our compositions, our recordings, etc., they can become our identity, but they're not us. They came through us, but they are not us. And I think the point here that it is also a relief factor is that what you're heading for is a rite of passage kind of a moment, a rite of passage slice of time in this month, the second month of 2021. And then, what a nice way to end, right? You end with the achievement that is, you take these two dudes right here, they're the kings, and you end with the king of the kings, the emperor. And so I'm not saying that everyone lives happily ever after, but I am saying that the potential is there for you to see the kind of results that you expect and want and desire for this. And I think the passage for all this is no matter what unfolds or occurs within you, let it filter through the heart. And I know all you guys that are doing work out in the world that brings humanity new music, new graphics, new stories. I know you're already heartful beings. I think this is just a reminder to be able to go, you know what? If I think about it, I actually have been to the places where I've done completion with my emotions. My heart is whole, complete, perfect, right? We'll do 3 major arcana cards that I use as archetypal influences and also energies that are being expressed. That, it's almost like a train riding along the track, that you're looking down the track and you see it coming. And the train is represented by energies. And you have the option to jump on board or not. It's your option. But if you do jump on board, realize that the energies of this particular train, its payload is these energies. So let me pick, I've got 22 major arcana, as there are in decks, and I want to pick 3 numbers so I get the universe helping us to know which cards we're going to use for this reading. We got a 2. We've got a 15. And we've got an 18. Here we go. 1, 2. Star card. Any Aquarians watching? Star card is so cool. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And the Hierophant, 16, 17, and Temperance. So look at the feminine energy that's surrounding you like a embracing spiritual biosphere. All right. The universe wants you to determine your direction forward. Wants you to do whatever is necessary. If it means the ibis, which is on a lot of the cards, to take off and take flight, or the phoenix to rise from the ashes, whatever it takes, The universe wants you to consider this defining your direction. And perhaps, you could, in fact, come out with a series. Let's say you come up with a painting that just rocks. And maybe that can generate itself or inspire, as it takes life, a series. Who knows? But whatever the case, the universe wants you to know where you're going, to consider it as the direction of your spiritual journey. And to do that, to understand that direction, it takes the simple, occasional reminder that we are not alone. The Hierophant connects us to the divine and reminds us that the inspiration and the spiritual wherewithal comes from the divine, but it's not an idle, passive thing. It moves. It takes life. Like I was saying earlier, these things, these creations, they came through you, but they are not you. And I think the Hierophant is just pointing out that again. And last but not least, temperance wants to be heard. So it's just a glimpse at perhaps what's in store when you go down this path and follow these types of energies. What's in store as you come out the gate on the other side, which is sometime in the future. But it's giving you a glimpse of the potential. And if the potential is your ability to homogenize energies, to receive the spiritual messages from your particular angel or angelic guardian, if you will. I mean, are you asking for more than that? I mean, when that comes, it makes one feel so complete. But temperance is the next card after death, and temperance came after paying the dues that allowed temperance the ability to create that link, the linkage between the divine and the mundane. So, my dear-hearted fellow musicians, artists, creative spirits, that's it for February. And it looks like you have the power to choose. I mean, the Super Bowl is this month, right? Is in February. So this looks like it can be your creative Super Bowl. And I'm glad. I'm in there. I'm actually planning some new endeavors with my musician self. Looking forward to it. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time. I'm going to do these. I'm going to start putting up a monthly reading just for artists and musicians and creative spirits of all sorts. Love you all. Bye for now.